Hi, my name is John Quinn. I am the Director of Church Engagement for Alpha Ireland, and today we're going to be talking about building a culture of invitation. So Alpha, we believe, is the perfect tool to help parishes move from maintenance to mission, to help churches become more outward-looking and focused on inviting others into a relationship with Christ and into the life of the wider community. But in order to do that, oftentimes we found that churches will come to us and say, okay, we've been running Alpha, but it's the people who show up to everything anyway that's on in a church who are showing up. How come we're not getting the people into our Alpha who we really want to try and meet? Maybe the ones who are on the periphery of the church, or those who maybe come along to things once a year, or maybe ones we just want to meet who never come along to church. And so what we would say to that is, it's really important to ensure that if you want your Alpha to meet new people, that you yourselves as a church have to be outward focused and meeting new people. And this is where a culture of invitation really comes in to play. A culture of invitation is one where each member of the church takes responsibility for generating relationships and inviting people into the life of the church. So that could be people inviting their friends, their family into the life of the church and everything that's going on. And if that's an Alpha that's going on, or if that's the Sunday services, when people feel that they have experienced something exciting, something that is worth sharing, then they feel ready to create a culture of invitation. And so a culture of invitation is essentially built upon a culture of discipleship. It's built upon a culture where people feel that they have a place and a role within their church, and they're excited to share that with others. There's a key difference between a culture of invitation and a culture of welcome. I think in some ways, our churches are very good at establishing and developing and continuing a culture of welcome. And in many ways, a culture of welcome is kind of a maintenance mode. You are passive in a way. You are waiting for people to come over your threshold. And once they do, be that on a Sunday or be that to anything that your church has going on at any given moment, you're able to welcome them. Smile, show them to a pew and kind of be really friendly with them. And obviously that's really important, but there's no real missional impulse to that. A culture of invitation is one that is always looking outwards, that's stepping out beyond a sense of comfort. The Holy Spirit always calls us out of our own comfort zones. And mission, in a sense, is us stepping beyond our mode of comfort into the secular world outside of the church and getting to know people and then inviting them, sensing the correct moment to invite them into the life of our church. And so welcoming is important, but it can be a little bit passive. And so what we want to try and do is to pivot into a culture of invitation, which is authentic and which is outward looking and which is a true expression of the Christian faith lived out. People ask me, what is the best way of inviting people along to an Alpha? And we have found, without doubt, that the best way of inviting people along to an Alpha is by personal invitation. Someone who you trust, inviting you by name along to an Alpha. And that helps you to feel like it is meant for you. Because sometimes, when you see a video or when you see a poster that's out there, it can just feel like information. But that personal nature of being invited along to something really helps people to say, yeah, you know what, I think I will give it a try. Up to now, we have looked at a bit of the theory around building a culture of invitation in your parish. But what about the practical side of things? Well, here's a few key ways that you, as a church leader, can build a culture of invitation in your church. Number one, intentionally lead by example. So, if you're a church leader, think of 3 people who are not currently in your church who you could invite to the next Alpha. Lean into the Holy Spirit, build up the courage, taste of this comfort, and step out and invite people in. That way, the next time you challenge people to invite someone along to an Alpha, you'll know how difficult it is, and you'll know how easy it is ultimately as soon as you get that ask out, and you'll be able to share that with others. Number 2, change the altar call. So oftentimes when we're doing an altar call, we rely on an informational newsletter blurb to invite people along to an Alpha. What we've found, what works so much better, is when you're able to be much more personal about the information that you're sharing. So yes, let them know when Alpha is on, but really encourage and challenge people to come along to the Alpha when you're reading it out at the altar call. Let them know that they are encouraged to come along, and that you'd love them to come along and bring someone with them as well. So it's more than just it's happening at this time and this date, but you know what? We'd really love to see you there too. Number 3, include a testimony. We have found without doubt that the best way of helping people to know what they can expect from an Alpha is getting someone who has already experienced Alpha to share their story. So whether that's part of a church service or whether that's a video that's recorded, helping people to share their story and experience of Alpha is a great way of helping other people identify with them. It enables them to go, you know what, that doesn't sound too bad, I'll give that a try. So if you have someone who has experienced Alpha in the past, it can be really good to sit down with them, help them to come up with a very short but invitational story around what they experienced in Alpha, to help them know how they felt about it beforehand, what they experienced and how their life has changed afterwards. And just getting this really short and sweet really is the key, but trying to encourage them, sharing that testimony does wonders to help other people feel like they could also try Alpha. Number 4, 10 to 3. Invite and encourage and maybe challenge 10 people to invite 3 people who they know. That way you'll have 30 people invited along to an Alpha. So they could be family members, friends, colleagues, co-workers. But what you get is 30 people who essentially will be personally invited along to an Alpha. And that way more people get an opportunity to experience what it's like to invite others in. Number 5 is to use social media, but personally. So a key thing to try and do is, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or even WhatsApp, is to utilize the resources that we have there, but try to put a personal spin on your invitations to people. We know one church whereby the Alpha leader had an opportunity to record a video himself and inviting the people from his church to come along to Alpha, or to think of other people who they might like to invite along. And so you can give some of the information around the time and the place, but it's also a great way to explain it and to be positive and happy and really encouraging people to come along to that. You don't have to overdo it. Short and sweet really is the key. Number 6, be outward looking. In order for Alpha to be missional, we need to be outward looking. We need to be going beyond the usual suspects who come along to everything, the ones who will definitely say yes, or the ones who, even if they said no, we wouldn't be too worried about. So try to pray, think about who the Lord might be asking you to invite along to the next one. Be outward looking and try and step beyond your comfort zone and invite other people along to your Alpha. Number 7, love others. The Greek word for hospitality is philoxenia, literally love of the other. It's the opposite of xenophobia. And so the process of building a culture of invitation and inviting people on Alpha is one where we put the love of another ahead of any other concern that we have. So really trying to hear the person's concerns, answer any questions that they might have. And so one of the things that goes really well with that is experiencing Alpha with that person, journeying with them over the weeks and inviting them into that process. So you could say something like, you know, this is a course that I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks. I really think that you would love it. Why don't you come along with me on the first night and see what you think? We have found journeying with other people, that culture of invitation becomes much more normalized, much more genuine and much more authentic. Alpha is the perfect tool to help your parish grow and develop a culture of invitation. It does require a parish-wide commitment to including and encouraging and inviting new people along to try the life of your church. Don't try and do everything all at once. Maybe just choose 1 or 2 things that are genuinely achievable the next time that you run your Alpha. And we believe that you will be able to see some real marked improvements in building the culture of invitation in your parish.